Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a dog with you, H. Weber. Another edition of Weber This Week. How about this weather, huh? We're talking what? Maybe 60 or 57? I think my car said 56. I couldn't believe it. It's a beautiful day. Enjoy it. I think we're going to have another couple, then we're probably going to go back to the 30s. Hey, a longtime friend of mine is in the house today. I nailed her at Dunkin' Donuts when she was at her weakest moment to come on my show. Yes, Sue Pluretti is my special guest, and she's a longtime buddy, and we're going to talk about her career. She's now retired as of the 30th of January. Well, a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. It's the dog with you on a gorgeous Monday, the 4th of February. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know you were probably bored with the Super Bowl. Maybe you weren't bored if you had the right numbers. I was thinking, before we get to Sue, I was thinking about that poor lady or man that had 6-3 when the Rams tried to kick a field goal, or attempted a field goal, and it did get kicked, but it was left. And if they got that field goal through the uprights, it would have been 6-3 final, 13 or 3 for the Patriots and 6 for the Rams. It didn't turn out that way. He missed the kick, and you can't blame the weather elements. I believe the roof was closed. So I can just imagine these poor folks that had 6-3 were talking lots of cash. But, hey, it's over. Kind of boring game. Commercials were okay. But hey, it is what it is. We all build it up, and the Patriots continue to dominate. And I know all my Buffalo Bills friends who I pick on all the time, they're probably not happy that Brady and the Patriots won again. Well, without further ado, it's good to bring in Sue. Sue, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you letting me hammer you at the Dunkin' Donuts and beg you to come on, and you agreed. And I know you had apprehension at first, but it's nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's go back and flash back to, to your history. Let's talk about your schooling. Tell our viewers who may not know you, and that'd be rare because I'm sure everybody knows you throughout the area, but maybe we've got folks from different areas watching us today. Talk about where you went to school and where you went to college, and we'll go from there.
Well, born and raised here in Seneca Falls. Went to Miners Academy, graduated in 1986. And then from there went to Cuba Community College and got my associate's degree in criminal justice. And then from there went on to work for the sheriff's office and go on to the Fair Lakes Law Enforcement Academy, where I became a deputy sheriff in 1989.
Now, let me ask you a question, since we've been longtime buddies. Growing up as a young woman, a lot of people want to be a doctor or a lawyer. They may want to open up their own business. When did police work hit your brain power and say, this is what I want to do? When did that happen? What age did that happen?
Oh, when I was in high school.
You thought about it? You
Yeah.
wanted to be the police?
Yeah, I became friends with some of the guys in the department,
Mm-hmm.
and got interested in being a police officer in town.
You never had second doubts about doing it? It was always...
Always have that doubt and thinking, why am I doing this, or why do I want to do this? But no, I don't have any regrets.
Now, let's flash back. You get a job at the sheriff's department, sheriff's office?
Yes, I started in corrections.
Okay.
And then Sheriff Tom Clear at the time asked if I would be interested, and I said absolutely.
Okay, and obviously that was in what year again when that started?
1989.
89. I would be remiss on this show as the interviewer that I'm supposed to be on these shows is the fact that, okay, you joined the sheriff's office, corrections, and of course the men looking at you and thinking, okay, and I'm sure thinking that the Me Too movement and the women's movement that is abounding throughout the country. How about men that you worked with when you first took the job? Were there's any why do we have a woman working here? Was that ever prevalent while you joined the force? Did anyone ever question, and not question to you directly, I guess, but did you ever sense why is a woman doing this?
No, luckily there was a female officer or deputy sheriff before me at the sheriff's office. So it wasn't, they, didn't give us a hard time, and, we all worked side by side with each other. But then when I transferred to Seneca Falls, obviously I became the first female police officer for the village.
Right, and let's talk a little bit about that. So you become the first police officer, which is certainly amazing, something that obviously is a milestone, the first ever.
Yes.
What was the reaction on the police force, being the first female?
They were very welcoming.
That was great.
Yeah.
So you obviously, was a member of the team, and I I laughed at when I read a lot of transcripts leading up to this interview relative to Fred Capozzi, who hired you.
Yes.
My good friend, big Yankee fan, as you know.
Yes, he is.
Wanted to be sure that you had the ladies' room developed, or they created one?
Yeah, we created a locker room just for me with my own shower and everything downstairs. I think they got a little worried when I'd come down the stairs, and we shared a locker room. So they eventually gave me my own locker room.
Well, you know, the police, and of course you and me go back so many years, it's kind of ridiculous. I can't remember the first time I met you, but it's way back. I got to think, you become a police officer, you're brand new with the police force in Seneca Falls, and was it any difficulty for you doing your job because of the fact that you knew so many people personally, and now you are wearing the uniform, and obviously wearing the uniform requires you sometimes issuing tickets, obviously doing arrests when necessary. Was that ever a concern of yours, or was it a concern of yours knowing that you know so many people because you lived here all your life
right,
pretty much?
Yeah, it was a concern, but I was never put in a position, or no one ever put me in a position where I had to,
Right.
I always got the respect that, among the people that I knew.
And one thing that I think people don't realize, even though you're well known throughout the area, most people recognize, unless you're the one that's putting the red light on behind them, basically, you have a job to do, and your job is to enforce the law. But also knowing you as well as I do, and many people that know you, I guess, you are, I'm certainly not that the rest of the officers aren't reasonable. I think you probably would follow the law to a T, but basically there are times probably where maybe you didn't give somebody a break, but maybe you softened the opportunity for you to become, you would rather maybe advise them that maybe they screwed up and they didn't commit some serious crime, that maybe you not would look the other way, but maybe would work a little more passionately. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be in certain situations. Every situation you handle is different. And when you know the people, it's a little different. You try to, explain to them, this is a situation and this is how it's going to be handled. And if you don't like it, oh well. Because you
have a job to do.
Right.
And I'm certainly aware of the fact that it would be easy for me to think that if you pulled somebody over and people are you come up to the window and license and registration, you look down and you see the person you've known for 20 years and you say, well, hey, you broke the law by doing 70 and a 30, or, I'm saying
right.
You're going to pay the penalty, and that's part of what you do, and that's what our officers are trained to do, and that's why we have police forces that obviously have to support and make sure that the laws are followed.
Right. And you have that perspective. They know what they've done wrong if they did something wrong, and they're like, you got me.
Yeah.
Or you have that discretion of whether you're going to write them a ticket or if you're going to let them go. And sometimes people talk themselves right into a ticket
instead of just keeping them out.
Exactly.
Well, I kidded her about the famous Stu Peenstra always sees me and laughs about the $85 loaf of bread that I bought years ago. And my wife needed something from the convenience store, and I ran over and to get it, and they didn't have it, so I made a beeline to Sauter's, which was just a little distance from, which is now Circle K, and I was getting past the Little League field, heading down the hill by the Elks, and I got to the bottom of the hill, and I see police officers swarming, and they had a stakeout for people not wearing their seatbelts. Ta-da! And that day, I obviously had forgot to click it after I left Circle K, or nice and easy back then. Well, shame on me. So they pulled me over, and of course, being here all my life, because I was on the radio, now I do this show, they knew who I was, and they said, Mr. Weber, you didn't have your seatbelt on. I go, well, yeah, I had it on. I just, up on top. Wrong answer, because they have somebody scouting, and they have it on film that you don't have it on, so you're dead to rights. So they pulled me into the Elks parking lot, and I got a ticket, which I deserved, and I sent a check, and every time I see Stu, he reminds me of that expensive loaf of bread.
Are you still wearing your seatbelt?
I am sure wearing it now. Boy, I want to click it as soon as I get in the car. By the way, because she is the first ever woman to work in the Seneca Falls Police Department, back in the village, now, of course, we're the town of Seneca Falls. Some other fine ladies that have demonstrated being first and doing some wonderful things, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Ann Kramer, who recently passed away at age 85, was the first woman elected to the former village board that Sue's well aware of. Jeanette Fife was the first woman elected town supervisor. Diana Smith, who I haven't seen forever, was the first woman elected mayor of the now dissolved village. So, you, of course, hold a distinction that the others don't. She's the only woman or the only person with a statue of herself on the Ludovico Sculpture Trail along the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. So as you think about it, when did you get word that you were being honored in such a phenomenal way to get your own sculpture?
Well, Lieutenant Snyder had mentioned it to me, and at the time I was like, no, not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
And then eventually I said, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's great. So how long did it take for them to make it up and to put it together?
I think it was like a 6-month process. I met with the artist over in Yates County and went over and visited with him, and he actually did it out of clay first. And so I got to see it before it was actually finalized, and then once he bronzed it, then it was a surprise when they unveiled it in 2009.
Well, that's incredible, and I think it's wonderful, and really, it's pretty scary. It's really nice to have somebody that I know that has a sculpture, and it's pretty neat. And of course, we all know, we talked about it before airtime, the Ludovico Trail is under court Article 78, right. I believe it is, relative to the town requiring or sewer lines or whatever, and hopefully that all gets worked out, and we'll have to wait and see, because with anything, and Josh Durso is our engineer today and good friend of mine who works, obviously does a great job at Finger Lakes One with his news releases and all of his letters and so forth. Unfortunately, everything seems to be end up in courts for some reason. We have the Huntington building issue, and I see my friend Emil Bovia wrote a nice letter yesterday on his side of the view relative to keeping it as a reuse facility and mentioning a lot of money from a lot of people who have money may come in or going to come in. They haven't come in that I'm aware of, but we'll see what happens. I made the statement when Emil was here recently, a few weeks ago, that I believe it should be torn down in favor of Peter Koch. He should be able to get a reward for that location. And you know Sue better than anybody. I remind everybody it's all about real estate, location, location, location. There's not a better location, as you know.
Yes, it is.
You've been around here a long time. You've got those, Fall Street. You got the Veterans Bridge, Rumsey Street.
It's a main intersection.
It's a main intersection. So we'll have to wait and see that all be ironed out in the court system, as it always is. And, if Amo wins out, kudos to him. But I of the opinion that it should be torn down and allow Circle K to put up a new structure. So as you look at your career, you've been with the some 29 years, correct?
Yep.
When you began and you were on the force and you were doing your thing, whether it was an early shift or a late shift or an overnight shift or whatever, the attitude of citizens regarding the police department or police officers, I know we're in a small village/town now, we are in town, the respect that people gave you when you first started, not just you as a woman, but as a police officer, is it fair to say that possibly that respect is still pretty good in a small area that we are in versus a lot of issues, as you know?
Yeah, I would say
there's not a network that you can't turn on, ABC, NBC, CBS at night, where there's a police officer involved in a shooting or a stabbing, and whether they used lethal action before they should have. Just talk a little bit about that,
right.
In your opinion.
I think in this area in Seneca Falls, we do have the respect of most of the residents here. You do have your few people that we deal with on a daily basis, that don't give our officers the respect that they deserve. There's always that one person that wants to, file a personnel complaint, but luckily now with the use of body cams, that protects us. So they know, but most of the people are very respectful. Like I said, we do have this people that we deal with that want to give us the attitude, it's our fault, why are you here? But, they don't realize they're the ones that, created it. We're here to try to diffuse it, and we'll do the best we can to do that.
How long has body cam been in motion, in effect? That you've been able to wear that?
You guys have been wearing them probably for 5 years, maybe.
Okay. And that's important, because then you have the actual film of what's taking place with a stop.
Yes. Every officer wears them.
Right. And it's mandatory they turn them on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I know a lot of police stories throughout the country. Some don't, or some haven't, and therefore you have the...
Yeah, the minute that they arrive on scene, they're to activate their body cams and traffic stops.
And that's good,
yeah.
Because then you have it fully, booked, and there's no...
I mean, it's there to protect the officer and the citizen.
Right. And let's not forget that not just you and the chief that's currently over the town of Seneca Falls, Stu Peenstruck, has been on this program many times. He's been on with Josh. He's a great guy and a good chief. You guys do so much. It's really, and I mean guys meaning you, and refer to the men and women / do a lot for charities and Christmas time and various events. Talk a little bit about that makes you feel good. Not that you've been a Seneca Falls person, and not the fact that you are a giving person, because I've known you so long and you're always treating me well. My point is, I think people don't realize that you guys just don't clock in and clock out. There are times where you will raise money for good causes, take kids around for getting Christmas gifts when they can't afford them. Talk a little bit about that effort.
We get involved with the Punisher Motorcycle Group, and we do the Christmas toy drive with them. I know this year they did some shopping with them for the toy drive for underprivileged children in the area. We have gone out and delivered turkeys for Thanksgiving time in association with a program through the high school. We get together with the Child Advocacy Center and do some fundraising with them. And we've also donated, our union has donated to also some, Boys State, Girls State, Little League, all different programs that, involve our, up and coming youth in the area.
Yeah, I know you do an awful lot. I know that, Josh highlights a lot of it on the pages of Finger Lakes One when you guys are involved in different things that make the heart get warmer, and that you're not just a cop,
Right. We do the fun days down at the community center. I think that's a lot of fun with the kids. They enjoy throwing water balloons at us. I think they have a good time. They get to meet everybody, because you don't see us all always on that side. They usually see us if we're on a call or at a traffic stop. But then they get to come down and hang out with us and have some fun. So it's pretty cool.
It's kind of nice to meet police officers where you don't have the uniform on.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them don't recognize you.
Bet they don't. It's Weber This Week, my good friend. Sue Pluretti is my special guest today. Let's take our commercial break and pay homage to the great sponsors that make this show possible. We'll be back. Del Lago Resort and Casino has something for everyone. 2,000 slot machines, 99 gaming tables, The Vine featuring top national music and comedy acts, the dining options, the Great Portico by Fabio Viviani, the Farmers Market Buffet, the Social Cafe and Bar, and the 14,000 square foot European-style spa. Del Lago offers massages, body treatments, and facials, plus a full-service salon. Visit DelLagoResort.com for more information. Cayuga Lake National Bank, offices in Union Springs and Aurora, a fine sponsor of mine for over 35 years. Great staffing at Cayuga Lake National Bank. Check them out. DA's Liquor on Bridge Street in Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her team will find the right spirit for you every time. When you stop in, tell Amy the dog sent you. By the way, the Padula family has been a sponsor of mine for 33 years. Bostrom Farms is a butcher shop focused on providing fresh local meat to the Finger Lakes region. The retail store is located on Routes 5 and 20 in Stanley. They offer a full range of pork, beef, and chicken products that you can feel real good about. Buying food for your family should be fun. At Bostrom Farms, we put the fun and trust back into buying meat. The McGee Diner, located off New York State Thruway, exit 41. The McGee Diner has earned their reputation as a popular family restaurant, serving country fresh home-cooked meals daily. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and check out their menu at McGeeDiner.com. And I thank Gary and Kathy Schlegel for their fine support of Weber This Week. Seneca Metals is an award-winning company that has earned a reputation of going above and beyond to protect the environment and support their community. As an EPA inspector once said, their operation is head and shoulders above the rest. The Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes is a child-friendly location where allegations of physical or sexual abuse are responded to by a multidisciplinary team of professionals. The team works together to conduct a thorough investigation and to provide necessary support services to children and their non-offending caregivers with a goal of minimizing further trauma to a child. The Newark Pilots of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, a minor league team with a major league ballpark. Season ticket packages available at newarkpilots.com. The Omen Theater on William Street in Lyons. See what's playing this week at theomentheater.com, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. The Wilson Press in Seneca Falls. My good pal Rich Rickey and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Visit them online at wpress.com. Welcome back, everybody. My friend Sue Pluretti, who just retired as of the 30th of January, relaxing, not having to worry about getting up early. She liked the fact that the show was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think she would have showed up if I said it was 7 a.m. in the morning, but she's here, and we're talking about her career and all the things that has happened in her career, and she's done a great job, and now she deserves a break, and then you can decide what you want to do right down the road, right?
Yeah.
Hey, before we go back to Sue, I want to remind everybody, Seneca Metals has a lot of great events, most every week. Coming up this Thursday, February 7th, please make note between 6:30 and 7:30 in the evening at the Seneca Meadows Educational Center. That's at 1977 State Route 414 in Seneca Falls. You know, wine adds a depth of flavor to dishes that can't be imitated. Let our guest chef from Del Lago Resort and Casino show you how just in time for Valentine's Day. So that's coming up this Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30. It's $8 per person if you'd like to attend. I urge you that you do get out there and enjoy it. But remember, it's an adult event. You have to be 21 or older to attend. Coming up Thursday at Seneca Metals. They do a great job of putting out events throughout the year. I'm going to go back to Sue Pluretti, my special guest and longtime friend. We're talking about her retirement, and you talked about during the break, you haven't made any decisions. You're going to play it by ear and decide what you want to do. Whatever you want to do, and it's not going to be nights, weekends, and holidays, right?
Absolutely. No more nights, weekends, or holidays. 30 years of them.
I don't blame you one bit. You know, as you think about police work and the training to become a police officer, obviously is not easy because you have to get certain tests done and certain grades done and certain abilities to handle. And, you know, I marveled at the fact that a lot of police officers get a lot of respect for the fact that, you know, yes, you have a job to do. We all understand that. You know the laws. You have to enforce the laws. But I think there's some compassion. And you see a lot of instances around here where police officers, not just, like you mentioned, Sue, going out and helping out at Christmas time, but I think most police officers, you know, they're there to do a job, whether it's a man or a woman, but they also realize that there's a thin line there between maybe not giving them a ticket if there's some compassion regarding the situation or giving somebody a break. And I think that's what's important. I think police officers are not supposed to be robots. And I think you would agree with me that they should be. Not to say you want to let everybody go. I'm not saying that, but I think people don't recognize the fact that that's important. That you do show some compassion once in a while where it deems necessary.
Right. I mean, you have to treat people the way you want to be treated because down the road that might come back to help you.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I must admit that my good friend Frank Eldridge Sr., who's 23 years, 24 years now with the sheriff's office. He's a working man. He's at the school resource officer. They love him out there. And Sue, you're not going to believe this, but he works real hard as a SRO.
Frank's working real hard.
Yeah, he is.
He's doing a great job.
He is.
They love him.
They do love him. And a year or so ago, I asked to go out and see what he does because we're close friends, and he met me at the door, and I walked around. He showed me what he did. And he took his hour and a half break. Just kidding. But he's funny, and but him being on that campus, I think, has really made a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
sure the kids love him.
And the teachers love him, too,
Yeah.
because he's funny and he always makes a lot of laughter. But he's a good friend of mine, and he's done a great job over his career because he'll do anything for anybody.
Mm-hmm. He will, too.
And that's the way it has to be. So let me ask you, when you're not working, now that you're retired and you're going to make some decisions on your future, and, of course, that'll be your call. What does Sue like to do when you're not wearing the uniform and let's say you have a vacation? You do take vacations, right?
I am. We're actually going away at the end of the month. We're going down to the Keys.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So that's what you like to do, and when you're not, you have time off, you like to play a little golf and enjoy yourself?
I've never really been a golfer.
Never played at all?
No, never played.
Never tried?
I have. I've done like the Reds tournaments and stuff like that. Just fun.
Yeah, fun.
They tell me I swing a golf club like a baseball bat. I apologize. I played softball in high school. So.
Well, Mr. Durso here is an excellent player. He shoots in the 60s consistently. He's an outstanding player.
Right.
So maybe, Josh, in your spare time, which you don't have any, but if you had any, I'm sure you could work with your game. This guy's got a lot of golf games, so regarded one of the better players in the area. That's good. It's a good reputation. So you just like to relax when you're not working sometimes.
I used to shoot competitively, pistols, so I might get back into that a little bit with my brother and nephew, so we'll see. That's
going to be fun. Well, we could talk for hours and hours. I just think that you have been a phenomenal, subject individual that has done a very fine job. You're liked and loved by many that consider you a close friend, like I do, and you've always been nice to people. I've never ever seen you when I meet with you, whether it's a bar and you're off duty having a drink or whatever. You've always smiled and say hi, and it's just part of your nature, and I think a lot of people respect that and admire that, and that's what you're all about, and I think that people really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And I think it's not making it up that you are, a local person like I am. Even though I was born in Lyons, I basically lived in Seneca Falls pretty much all my life, with the exception of 5 years when we got married. We lived in Geneva, then we moved here, and we pretty much lived here all my life, pretty much along with Mary. But I want to thank you for coming in. Before I sign off, I want to say a couple words about a friend of ours, and I do appreciate you spending time with us. I hope that you enjoyed the interview, and I hope you come back sometime and maybe give us an update on your lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Well, listen, I appreciate it, and see, I told you it wasn't going to be that hard, right?
Not at all. It was a good time.
I did trap her at Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, she was with another officer or two, and I remember attacking her and saying, "Listen, you got to come on, and I want you right after you retire." All right, Sue, thanks a lot for coming in. By the way, folks, before I sign off and Josh hits the button and says goodbye, there's always a sadness time in our lives because we're all obviously born to come into this world, and unfortunately we have to leave this world. I'm talking about a good friend, Dick Denard, who passed away last night. Many of you watching my show probably know Dick and have heard about Dick Denard. If you ever met Dick Denard, and I'm sure Sue would agree with me, you wouldn't forget him. People say, I talk a lot. He outdid me. Dick Denard was a mover and a shaker. He owned a cleaning business for many years, but you never saw him really cleaning a whole lot. He used to get a team of people working for him. He would go out and do a job here and a job there. But you know what Dick did? He loved to play gin down at Marino's. And Sue remembers old Marino's, a legendary place where a lot of the local policemen would stop and have lunch once in a while there. And I used to go in there. It was my second home. And Dick Denard would be sitting down with Ralph Leone and Verkey and these guys and playing gin. And I always remember I used to needle Denard all the time by saying, hey, when do you ever clean rugs? I'll work tonight at 8 o'clock. This was like at 1. But he was a good guy. And he had a big heart and full of fun. He just never, ever stopped having fun in his life. And I can tell you a personal story. When I ran the Weber Invitational Golf Tournament for Camp Anciawa, we raised $120,000 over like 10 years, phenomenal numbers. I asked Dick to be on my committee. I had a committee of like 12, and I wanted him on it. And we had a raffle ticket that we tried to derive funds for. And I said to Denard, you want to take some tickets? Yeah. He says, give me 1,000. He took 1,000 tickets and sold 1,500. He got rid of those 1,000. That's the way Dick Denard was. When you saw you, he didn't take any no's for answers. Give me the buck for the ticket. And he was phenomenal. But he's just a great guy, and we're going to miss him dearly. He passed away last night in Florida. He was at hospice. And I think Dick was in his early 70s. And speaking for Sue and myself, he's going to be sorely missed. He's truly a walking legend. So rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. Speaking for Sue Pluretti and our engineer and good friend Josh Durso, this is the dog bidding you farewell. Next week, Melissa Taylor, Emergency Management of Seneca County, is my special guest next week on The Weber Show. Take care, everybody.